Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's Diego, and it is August the 11th, 2025, 10:31 a.m. Central Time here in the Panhandle of Florida. And it's time for a surprise green card, K1 visa, K2 visa, spousal visa live stream. I'm here to help you. I'm here to get you through this process. I want to see you get your green cards. I want to see you get your K1 visas approved. But it's August of 2025, and immigration has reset everything pretty much. It's a complete reset on how to, especially on renewing a green card. In the past, when you went to renew a green card, you used to fill out Form I-90. Now, I'm talking about people who have got a 10-year green card in their hands. I'm not talking about folks who are applying for a 2-year green card or for a K1 visa. If you have a 10-year green card, it's getting ready to expire. It's about 6 months out before it expires. You're going to renew it, right? Every 10 years, you got to renew it. Well, in the past, it used to be just simply filling out the I-90. Now it's not. Now, immigration is going to cross-check you. They're going to check your DMV record. They're going to check your IRS record. They're going to check your criminal record. And so it's no longer just a simple case of processing a K1 visa or renewing a green card or applying for a 2-year green card. Now it's an in-depth investigation. So if you've been in the United States for 20 years and you're gonna renew your green card with an I-90, it's no longer just a simple formality. It's an in-depth investigation. Okay. So if that's the case for renewing a green card for 10 years, someone's been in the country for 20 years or 30 years, what do you think it's going to be for somebody who's applying for a 2-year green card? It's going to be an in-depth, thorough investigation. Okay? If your American citizen sponsor owes taxes, hasn't paid his taxes, hasn't filed the taxes correctly, then there's going to be a problem. Unless, of course, if you have an exemption for filing taxes because you're retired under a disability or it's exempt. Okay? Now, I don't normally do a live stream this early in the morning, but I figured I'd give people a chance who live on the other side of the world to get in on the live stream and ask me questions, especially those folks that live in Africa, New Zealand, Australia. There is no exemptions for waivers or mistakes. Really, in all honesty, when you apply for a 2-year green card or a K1 visa or a spousal visa, you cannot make any mistakes on the paperwork. Immigration is backlogged already with enough people, okay, without having to stop, reevaluate an error, send it back to the applicant, say you messed up on the paperwork. Okay, you can't do that anymore. You fill out the paperwork correctly the first time. And another thing is you cannot mix paperwork together. Like if you're filing for a 2-year green card and you filled out some of the paperwork on the old form and you're going to now complete the paperwork on the new form. You cannot mix editions of paperwork. If you do, you're going to get denied. If you don't fill out the USCIS Form I-864 correctly, Mr. American Citizen Sponsor, you're going to get denied. Immigration's just going to deny you, and then you're going to be sent. Then you're going to be filling out paperwork and paying another $600 to try to get the case reopened through immigration, and that is the part of doing business right now in the United States with green cards and K1 visas. It's very strict. And it all started this month. In September of 2025, it's going to get even stricter. It is very important to understand that USCIS is now working with the IRS, the Department of Motor Vehicles, local law enforcement, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and they're cross-checking everything across the board. So if you're fixing to apply for a 2-year green card, it's going to maybe take a little bit longer, And if you've put together a fantastic package of information, if you haven't made any mistakes in the paperwork, if you have unrefutable evidence of your relationship, then you won't have a problem and you'll get done pretty quick, probably, in my opinion. But if you put together a package that does not have a strong content, then you're going to have problems. Especially if you have a criminal record and you didn't disclose it, if you haven't filed your taxes, Mr. American Citizen Sponsor, unless you have a reason, you have a justifiable reason you didn't do that, etc., etc., etc. And it's not going to go away. So if you are watching this video in the future and you're planning on filling out a K-1 visa application, you got to make sure you use the correct edition of the form, that you've been dating each other for at least a year, that you've got 2 or 3 trips to see each other, and you got overwhelming evidence of the relationship. If you have very weak evidence, if you don't have enough photos, if you don't have a long duration of photos, let's suppose, like Karina, my beautiful wife from Venezuela, we dated each other for 3 years. I went to Colombia 5 times, and I lived there basically back and forth over that 3-year period. I even was paying the rent. We got an apartment in Bogota, and we were living together in the apartment, and I was coming here, going there. But my domicile is the United States, and it's always going to be the United States. Florida is my home state. But I lived in Colombia for quite a while with the permission of the Colombian government, not illegally. Okay? If you sneak into the United States illegally, you're going to have issues, especially in the future. If you meet an American citizen, if you snuck into the United States illegally, let's suppose you married an American citizen after you are in the country without authorization, and then you file for adjustment of status. What's going to happen when you go to your green card interview? Well, you're going to probably get detained, arrested, deported. So if you come to the United States, let's suppose you come in on a tourist visa, perfectly fine to come to America on a tourist visa. But if you marry somebody on a tourist visa, especially after you just get here, you arrive in the country and a week later you're marrying an American, don't bank on getting a green card approved. In fact, you're going to be sent back to your home country, and you're going to have to start the process over with an I-130 spousal visa. That's what's going to happen. So if you're going to come to America on a tourist visa, come here and be a tourist. Don't come here and bypass the system and try to sneak around the back door and marry somebody, because it's quicker to get a tourist visa than it is to get a K-1 visa. If you are an American citizen sponsor, you want to make at least 2 or 3 trips over a period of 18 months, a year to 18 months, and build an established relationship with your beneficiary. If you meet somebody online and you jump on a plane and go visit them for a weekend and come back, or a week, don't bank on getting a green card or a K-1 visa approval. You haven't established a relationship. If you haven't had an engagement party, if you got no evidence of an engagement party, it's going to be tough to get a K-1 visa approved. If you don't have evidence of wedding plans, the K-1 visa is a fiance visa. You dated somebody for a year, 2 years, 3 years. You got all this evidence accumulated. Then after dating for a year or 2, you have an engagement party. Like Karina and I, after over a year, we had an engagement party with all of our family. Came over in Bogota, Colombia. If you have an engagement party, don't do it in cultural clothes. Do it in your regular street clothes. Because if you submit pictures of an engagement party in cultural clothes, then immigration might think you got married. Okay? Have wedding plans in place. Very important you have wedding plans in place. If you don't have any wedding plans in place, how immigration is going to question that? Well, you had an engagement party. You're engaged to an American citizen. You've been dating for a year and a half or so, but you don't have any wedding plans in place. Now, you don't have to set a date. It's probably impossible to set a date because you don't know when you're going to be in America while you're working through the K-1, right? You don't know. So you can contact restaurants, you can contact your church or your synagogue or your mosque or whatever, wherever, or the government building where you want to get married at. You don't have to get married in a church, but you can contact these people, email these people, have an email chain back and forth for like 6 months of planning a wedding. Email a restaurant you want to have a reception at. Say, I don't know the date yet, but you guys allow me to have a wedding reception here. The restaurant will respond to you. Those are wedding plans. You could buy engagement cards, where you send out, cards to your friends and family. Say you got engaged to be married to your beautiful prometida from Colombia or from Venezuela or Uruguay or Australia or the Philippines or Pakistan or India. Right? You got to prove it. The K-1 visa process is getting stricter. The green card process is getting stricter. The spousal visa is taking longer, and your wife or husband is waiting for you patiently in his or her home country while you put together a spousal visa. Right? That's correct. It's not an easy process, and it's expensive too. And keep all of your paperwork. When you submit for your K-1 visa, make copies of everything. When you receive paperwork from USCIS, your NOA-1 letter, your NOA-2 letter, when you get your I-94 printed up from the Border Patrol, make copious amounts of copies of this information. You may need it in the future. When you get married, get 5 certified, 6 certified copies of your marriage certificate. Why do I say that? Well, you need a certified copy for the 2-year green card, for the 10-year green card, for U.S. citizenship, for yourself. So you need at least 4, and then 1 for a backup in case immigration loses one. You could get a letter saying, hey, sorry, we lost your marriage certificate. Resubmit it. You cannot run over to Office Depot and make a copy on their copy machine of your marriage certificate. It has to be a certified copy from the courthouse where you got married. Wet ink stamped, signed by the clerk of the court. If you're a divorcee, if you've been divorced once, twice, 3 times, no matter how many times you've been divorced, you have to provide certified copies of your divorce decree for immigration. So if you've been divorced 3 times and you're applying for a K-1 visa, you need to provide 3 certified copies of your divorce decree signed by a judge, not by a magistrate. They get that, or they get included. If you've only been divorced 1 time, then you include 1 certified copy of your divorce decree. But you're going to need that information for your 2-year green card, for the K-1 visa application, for the 10-year green card. Okay? The same applies as if your husband or wife passed away and you have a death certificate. It's got to be certified by the clerk of the court. If you are, let's say you're from the Philippines and you're a Filipino with an annulment, you got to have a certified copy from the government offices in the Philippines, probably in Manila. Okay? It's just part of the process. How many pictures are you going to submit with your K-1 visa application? Well, you've been dating each other for what, a year and a half? And you make 3 or 4 trips, let's say 3 trips to see your beneficiary. So you're going to have pictures spread out over a year and a half. And on the pictures, you're going to identify who's in the photos, when the photos were taken, and where. If you don't identify who's in the pictures, when the pictures were taken, and where, you're going to get your entire package sent back to you. You have to identify who's in the photos. And you cannot submit just a stack of selfies taken over a 2-week period. That's not going to fly. When I was in Colombia, 5 trips, 3 years, we got photos spaced out over 3 years. It's a lot of pictures, and it's a lot of time together, and it's a lot of evidence. When we apply for Karina's 10-year green card in March of 2026, we're going to submit pictures from 2021, 22, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. When you go somewhere on vacation with your beneficiary, keep the boarding passes, the bus tickets, the hotel receipts, keep everything. You're going to have to be providing a mountain of evidence if you want to get a K-1 visa approved or a green card, 2-year and a 10-year. Okay? Things have changed in just a month. Just in August by itself, the entire immigration process has reset itself. When you go to an immigration interview in Miami, it's going to be the same as if you were going to an immigration interview in Los Angeles or in Seattle, Washington, or Nashville, Tennessee. It's now the same process everywhere. In the past, some immigration officers had some leniency. Okay, you made a mistake here. We'll give you a break, and we're going to approve your green card. That ain't going to happen anymore. If you make mistakes in your paperwork, it's going to be denied. Okay? I'm serious. Pay attention, class. I'm here to help you. I got 12 years experience processing green cards and K-1 visas. My beautiful wife is from Venezuela. We went through the green card process, the K-1 visa process, just like you. I'm not an immigration attorney. I don't give you any legal advice. I don't work for USCIS, okay? Well, maybe I should get a job with those folks because I can write the book on how to file a K-1 visa and a green card. And you got to qualify for the benefit, Mr. American Citizen Sponsor. If you have a criminal record, go to the courthouse, get your criminal record printed up, get it printed up, have an immigration attorney review it, and if you qualify for the K-1 visa, then submit the paperwork yourself. You don't need to pay an immigration attorney $5,000 or $6,000 to fill out a freaking K-1 visa application. It's nice. It's easy to do. The paperwork is easy, but you got to pay attention to details. You can't make any mistakes. Naya, hi Diego, beautiful morning today. Hi Naya, what's going on? Can you hear me fine? Is this new microphone working pretty good, or do I need to move the mic closer? I don't know. I'll just hide it out of the camera right there. Naya, happy start of the week. Yeah, what's today? Monday, August the 11th, 2025. It's almost the middle of August. The month's going by pretty quick. The weather's starting to be more agreeable here in Florida. It's not so hot as it was in July, and my wife Karina is happy about that because it gets pretty warm here, and Karina's at work, and I decided to jump on here and do a live stream to give you more information about the changes that are happening over the immigration network. USCIS used to be basically a rubber stamp approval place for green cards and K-1 visas. Not anymore. No longer is it a rubber stamp approval. Now it's going to be an intense investigation of your background, Mr. American Citizen Sponsor and Mr. Beneficiary. Okay? It's not going to be an easy process. And it's going to be, and I've got no doubt in my mind the price is going to go up. It's going to go up in price, in cost. Probably starting in 2026, in my opinion. They're going to jack the price up on everything. Okay? Now, there's lots of backlogs going to start accumulating because of the new intense processing. So if you submit an excellent green card application, a 2-year green card application, if you submit an outstanding 2-year green card application with just a mountain of evidence of your relationship, so now when you apply for your 2-year green card, you want to include pictures from when you were started to date your beneficiary all the way up to the day before you submit the application, right? So if you're getting ready to file for your 2-year green card, you're going to make sure that you have pictures in your 2-year green card application from the very beginning of your relationship, where it started. Pictures of your engagement party in street clothes, not in cultural clothes, and pictures of your wedding, pictures of your honeymoon. And then throw in some pictures right after the wedding or a few days before you mail off your 2-year green card application. You got to make sure you use FedEx, UPS, or DHL. Do not use the Postal Service, U.S. Postal Service, to mail in your 2-year green card application, your K-1 visa application, and you can file online for U.S. citizenship. And you can file online for your I-90 when you go to renew your 10-year green card. But I don't recommend you do that. Do everything with paper. Have a track. You can file online for U.S. citizenship. But my recommendation is mail in the paperwork for your U.S. citizenship application. Don't use online, because the online service at USCIS is not 100% correct. Naya, I received an RFE on the I-485 that I should obtain a qualifying joint sponsor talk about a joint sponsor requirement. Okay, Naya, here's what you got to do. If you got the RFE for a joint sponsor, you got to find somebody whose income is strong enough to cover your family size. So however many people you sponsored to come to America, the joint sponsor's income has to qualify and cover your family size plus the sponsor's family size. Okay? So if you brought one person over and your joint sponsor is responsible just for himself or herself, then the joint sponsor has to cover enough income for him, you, and your wife or husband, depending on whoever's watching this. Joint sponsor, if your joint sponsor lives with you in your house under the same roof as you, the joint sponsor is going to fill out USCIS form I-485A. The sponsor is going to fill out USCIS form I-485. If your joint sponsor does not live with you, lives in another state, lives in another county, lives in another part of the city, doesn't matter, but must reside in the United States, okay, the joint sponsor will fill out USCIS form I-485. What paperwork does the joint sponsor have to submit to immigration via the sponsor? 12 months worth of bank statements showing direct deposits, showing income, where it's being deposited. W-2s, I would get 3 years worth of tax returns, tax transcripts, W-2s, 1099s. I would get 6 months worth of pay stubs. This is the joint sponsor I'm talking about, and the sponsor. So if you're a sponsor and your income isn't quite there to cover the cost, okay, you both have to submit 485s. You both have to submit bank statements, W-2s, 1099s, pay stubs, and a letter from your employer saying where you work. This is the joint sponsor. So let's suppose your joint sponsor is an engineer, works for Lockheed Martin. Then the human resources officer at Lockheed Martin will write a letter and say, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so has been employed by Lockheed Martin for 10 years, makes this much money, is in this position. Okay, so the joint sponsor needs a letter from his employer, bank statements, 12 months worth showing direct deposits, W-2s, 1099s if you get paid on a 1099. Most people get a W-2. You know, you work for a company, they issue you a W-2 every January. But if you are self-employed, or like if you're a real estate agent, or you know, if you are self-employed, then you get a 1099. If you are retired, the Social Security Administration will submit a 1099. If you're retired from the military, the Defense Finance and Accounting Center will issue a 1099. But the joint sponsor has to must be able to make enough money to cover his family or her family plus the family he's going to sponsor. So then what you need to do is go to the minimum income requirements and look and see what it is for the new family size, because the family size is going to be when the joint sponsor fills out the I-485, the joint sponsor is going to have to cover the number of people that are coming to the United States, okay, plus the American citizen sponsor, plus the joint sponsor has to qualify and cover his income and cover what his expenses are, or her expenses. So Naya, do you understand what I'm saying? Did that help you? Did that help you, Naya? Is the microphone okay? Can you hear me okay with this microphone? I got a new microphone. I got a new camera. Okay, Naya. So let me go over it with you one more time. You, as the sponsor, okay, good. The sponsor has to fill out the 485, provide pay stubs for 6 months, the last year's tax return, plus W-2s, 1099s, bank statements for 12 months, and a letter from the employer. The joint sponsor has to provide the exact same thing. Fill out Form 485 if not living with you, is a U.S. citizen, right? I'm assuming, and must make enough money to cover the size of the family for the sponsor the new husband or wife, any K2s, and the sponsor, and the joint sponsor. All right. So was that helpful? Because I want to make sure you don't mess up this paperwork, because you get one shot. If you don't submit the RFE correctly with the joint sponsor, the joint sponsor I have is living alone. Okay, so the joint sponsor's family size is going to be the joint sponsor and however many people came over on the K1 visa. So it's going to be a minimum of 3. Okay, so the joint sponsor is going to have to cover the income. His or her income is going to have to cover at least a family of 3. Okay, it's easy to do, but don't make any mistakes on the 864. He is receiving half Social Security benefits. Okay, that's fine. Is he taxed on that? Does he pay taxes on his Social Security benefits? And if he doesn't pay taxes on his Social Security benefits, he's going to have to write a letter explaining why not. I get Social Security, but I don't get taxed on it because, boom. You got to give an explanation, okay? You got it? I thought he would be a sponsoring only me. No. The joint sponsor has to cover the family size of the beneficiary, the beneficiary's husband or wife, and the joint sponsor. Okay? So he's going to have to cover himself, which is no problem, plus however many people are in your family. Remember, immigration is covering this. So how much money do you estimate? For a family of 3, he's probably going to be wanting to make, at least for a family of 3, probably around $35,000 to $40,000 a year at a minimum. $35,000 to $40,000 a year evidence of income at a minimum. Because remember, your joint sponsor is going to be accepting responsibility for your family. If it's it's going to be 2 people at a minimum. So around 35 grand per year. Yeah, he's making more than that. Good to go. So make sure you fill out the paperwork correctly. Make sure listen, Naya, if you were a member of this channel, then you could then have my email address and phone number, and then I could go over the paperwork with you before you submit it. Because once you submit that paperwork to immigration with the RFE, if you make a mistake, you're going to get denied on the green card. 0 mistakes, 0 errors. You can contact me by signing up as a member, Naya. If that's the only way I can know who's got my phone number. The only way I know people who's got my phone number and my email address is I created a membership. And it's not that it's not that I want your money. It's $9.99 a month. You may be only needing me for 1 month. So it's $9.99 a month. And you sign up as a member. And then in the members videos, there's my phone number and my email address. And you can call me, text me, and email me. And then that's how you contact me. I cannot put my phone number. Oh, I can sign up as a member. Yeah. Sign up as a member. It's $9.99. Okay. It's not that I want the money. The money's not important. What's important is I got to know who's got my phone number and cell number so I can protect this channel from those nefarious people out there that would love to have that information. But when you sign up as a member, then you can go into the members only video, and then you can find my phone number. Send me a text message once you are a member. You get my number. Send me a text message and say, "Hey, it's Naya from the channel," and then I will save you to my phone, and then I will help you personally resubmit this information so you don't mess it up. Because any mistakes now is going to be a big denial, and that's going to suck. Naya, I appreciate that I've always followed your advice since I started the process, and it has been a success. Yeah, it's been a success for you. And now you just got to cover this RFE, which is easy to fix. You have a joint sponsor that makes enough money, so we can fix this. We can fix the RFE. But I really would like to look at the freaking paperwork before you submit it to make sure there's no mistakes. Because if you make a mistake on the paperwork on an RFE, you're going to get a denial letter, and it's over. Then you're going to have to pay another $600 to fill out form I-240B, I think it is. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the form, but then you have to pay another $600 to reopen the case. So if you sign up as a member, you can do it right here on the channel. If you only need my help for a month, that's fine. 2 months, and then that way I can make sure that your paperwork doesn't get submitted incorrectly. You don't get an RFE. You don't get a denial, because right now you're under a request for further evidence. Okay, so you get an RFE. I'll write it in here. I can't even get my mouse to work. I can't even get it over here because I got this new camera. I got to figure out how to use it. Here we go. So an RFE is equals denial. Okay, if filed incorrectly. If filed, I'm gonna write it down. Okay, so an RFE is going to be equal to a denial if you file it incorrectly. That applies to everybody. Okay, immigration is no longer being Mr. Nice Guy. They're being Mr. Tough Guy. So I'm just as tough as immigration, and I know the process like the back of my hand. I can do this paperwork in my sleep, and I want to make sure if you decide to sign up as a member, then you get my contact information. But that's the only way I can protect the information. I'm not going to put my phone number out here publicly because this channel goes around the world to 150 some countries. Okay, and I'm not going to put that information publicly. So if you want my phone number, you can text me. You can screenshot me the paperwork or email it to me. I can review it and then make sure that there's no mistakes before you submit the RFE. Now you're under a time crunch for the RFE. Read the letter carefully. Read that letter very carefully, because they're going to give you a time frame of when you have to submit the RFE. Right. It's probably going to be for you probably sometime in October, November. I'm guessing somewhere in there that you have. But if you have your joint sponsor already, okay, make sure you get a copy of your joint sponsor's biographic page of his passport. Make sure you get a copy of your joint sponsor's birth certificate if he or she doesn't have a passport. Make sure you get a copy of your joint sponsor. So October's the deadline. I know this, right, Naya? I know this like the back of my hand. Make sure that you get if your joint sponsor is a U.S. citizen, get the proof of that. Birth certificate, copy of the birth certificate or the passport, a copy of his or her social security number card, social security card, bank statements, 12 months worth of bank statements, a letter from his employer. If he's retired, then don't worry about that. Etc. Tax returns, last tax return, 2024 tax return, and W-2s, 1099s, etc. And let's see, we got Challenge Your Wallet with Aaron Lynn. Aaron's a member of this channel. She has my phone number and my email address. Aaron can contact me anytime she wants. Naya, going to be a member. We are going to talk about this. Thank you so much, Diego. Yeah, if you sign up as a member, okay, then you get my contact information. Like Aaron Lynn's a member of the channel. She can contact me whenever she wants, anytime. Especially when you're under a time crunch. When you're working with immigration, you're under a time crunch for certain things. And you may not want to have to wait for a live stream in order for me to answer an emergent question. And I'm not trying to do this because I want your $9.99. I do it because it's the only way I can protect the channel and keep the information private. So I know now who's got my phone number, etc. Aaron Lynn, that's for sure. Our green card packet is going in October 3rd. Well, there you go. So we're gonna put some Mega Pixie Dust on Naya, Mega Pixie Dust for Aaron Lynn. Okay. And a Mountain Dew salute. It's a pretend Mountain Dew salute. I'm not. I had my annual physical, and the doctor told me that I'm not supposed to be drinking drinks with tons of sugar in it or diet drinks. I'm like, well, great. So I'm banned from drinking from Mountain Dew and from Coke and 7 Up, blah blah blah. Okay, it is what it is. So I'll give you Mountain Dew salutes, but it's not going to be real Mountain Dew. And I got the maggot. Now the maggot pixie dust. This stuff's powerful. Okay, this stuff's getting people through the process. And October 3rd, you're going to send out the green card application. That's fantastic. Now go over the package 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Aaron Lynn, don't make sure there's no errors on the paperwork, no misspelled names, no misspelled dates. Don't transpose passport numbers. Don't forget to include the biographic pages of the passport of the citizen and the beneficiary. And if you have a K2, K2s are going to be filed separately. You're going to have they're not going to be mailed separately, but they're going to be in a separate package. Okay, so go to Office Depot or Walmart or somewhere, buy some document protectors and like a little book thing. I got one right over here for Karina's tenure. Aaron Lynn, that's exactly what we're doing. Also applied for Social Security card. Very good. September 19th is our appointment date for the Social Security card. Well, I need to apply for another one when his work permit gets here. Not when his work permit gets here, when his green card gets. Once you get the green card. Okay? Because the first one he's getting will say that he's not able to work. Right. You can go back to the Social Security office when he gets his work permit and change his status in the Social Security system, and then they will mail him another Social Security card. But it's still what I would do is I would wait until he gets his green card before you go back to the Social Security office and then just for the final time update his status as a legal permanent resident. So go ahead and get his Social Security card, put him on the bank. The Navy approves the haircut. Yeah, Fazak, I got my haircut last night. I grew my hair for 9 months, right? It was getting longer and longer. My hair was growing longer and longer. It grows pretty quick. And but I'm used to having short hair. And I got sick and tired of having to, comb it, manage it, deal with it. So I'm all back to where I was when I first started the channel. So Fazak, thank you for the approval. Let's see. Now Fazak's a member of the channel. Fazak has my email and phone number. Aaron Lynn, when you apply for the green card, I wouldn't even waste my money on applying for the work permit. Honestly, it's $260. I wouldn't do it. I would just keep that money, put it in the bank, save it for something else, and just apply for the green card. Because people are getting their green cards before they're getting their work permits. And then basically what that does is it invalidates the work permit. It becomes obsolete. So you threw $260 in the freaking toilet. My advice is to just apply for the green card, and when he gets his green card, then go down to the Social Security office and change his status to legal permanent resident. And then that way you only have to go back one more time, not two more times. Just my opinion. Okay? You don't want to give the Postal Service a second chance to lose something in the mail, right? You want to minimize that. And I don't know, the Postal Service they're doing good for the most part, but sometimes they lose stuff. Like when Karina, they lost her Social Security card, but it showed up on my informed delivery. So I went down to the post office and said, hey, where is my wife's Social Security card? Oh, it's probably in the mail somewhere. No, that's not the right answer. So I initiated an investigation, and then boom, the next day, Karina's Social Security card was in the mail. Okay? For the most part, the Postal Service does a good job. But don't give them an opportunity minimize the opportunities they have to lose, especially a Social Security card. Don't waste your money on a work permit. Save the money. Spend that $260 on a dinner at Texas Roadhouse or somewhere. Apply for the green card. Wait for it to come in. And then go back to the Social Security office and change his residency status. Remember, when you become when you get a 10-year green card, you have to go to the Social Security office and update that residency status. When you become a U.S. citizen, you have to go back to the Social Security office and say, and with your naturalization certificate, and say, hello, I'm a U.S. citizen. Here's my naturalization certificate. Very important. Then the Social Security office will then change your status to U.S. citizen. Good morning, Francois Livingston. What's going on, Francois? How are you doing? It's Monday, right? I think it's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. August 11th, 2025. It's 11:12 in the morning, a.m. Central Time, and I did a morning live stream. I got my Bogota t-shirt on from Colombia with the accent over the A, so there's no mistakes. I got the Boeing 747 we flew in on from Bogota to Miami, and I got my telescope over here, and we're in an abduction site for UFOs. So what a great channel, right? Aaron Lynn, I said to Missouri, he'll get his green card before he get his work permit. Yeah, it's a good chance. The other day, somebody told me that their work permit got canceled, but they got their green card. So they got their green card in the mail, and then they got a letter saying that their work permit was denied, but they have their green card. So the $260 was free money for immigration. So how long is it taking right now to get his green card? Well, you got to put the paperwork in, and then you have to go to the interview, and then they have to produce it in Kentucky and mail it to you. So probably about 5 months, 6 months, somewhere in there. 5 to 6 months. If you put together a very, very strong green card application, it may be 4 months. Okay? And don't make any mistakes. And don't waste your money on the work permit. It's a waste of money. I mean, Karina, she got her work permit, but it was free. When we filed for Karina's 2-year green card, we also included a work permit application, but it was free back then. It wasn't $260. And she got her work permit, and then she got her green card 3 weeks after she got her work permit. So it was a waste of time. I would have been pretty irritated if I'd spent $260 on something that she could only use for 3 freaking weeks. So if you can be patient there, Aaron Lynn, hang in there. Put that $260 to the side. Use it for a dinner date or something, and save that money, and then it will also save you a trip to the Social Security office. When he gets his green card, run down to the Social Security office, update his status to legal permanent resident, and Francois Hamid has to do the same thing. Hamid has his green card in his hand, right? Francois, you need to go back to the Social Security office with Hamid and update his status to legal permanent resident. Okay? Very important. And when Hamid, or whoever's watching this channel, if you just became a U.S. citizen, congratulations, by the way, then you got to update your status as a citizen with the Social Security Administration. Let's suppose you don't do that, and you come to age 62 and you go to apply for Social Security benefits. The Social Security office might say, well, you're not a U.S. citizen, and they're going to put you through all these hoops. They're going to run you through all this freaking paperwork. It's a pain. When you become a citizen, go update your status with the Social Security Administration so you don't have to wait an extra 2 or 3 months for your Social Security checks, because Social Security has to update their paperwork. It has to go in their computers. They have to cross-check it with immigration. All right? Naya, great information. Many of us thought work permit comes before the green card. We are wrong. Sometimes it does. Naya, sometimes the work permit will come before the green card. But sometimes the green card comes before the work permit. So you're basically playing a game of roulette in Las Vegas. You're playing a game of roulette. Do you want to do that and then lose that $260? To me, if it wasn't if it wasn't free, when Karina filed for her work permit, if it wasn't free, we wouldn't have spent $260 on it, because she got her work permit and then 3 weeks later she got her green card. And then there's other people who are getting their green cards before their work permits. Then they're getting letters saying that their work permits have been denied, and they're having a panic attack. They have to go look for their heart medicine, okay, because they're being told their work permit's been denied. But it doesn't matter if your work permit's been denied, because you got your green card, and the green card's all you're worried about. That's what you want in your hand. Aaron Lynn, we definitely have an extraordinarily strong green card application. Good. But I thought his work permit was going to come in about 2 to 4 months. It could come in it could come in 3 months. It could come in 2 months. It could be denied. You could get the green card first, and then the denial on the work permit. And it's a waste of money. The work permit basically is for folks who come here for 5 years and work under a company. Some company sponsors them, Lockheed Martin. Somebody sponsors somebody to come here to work for 5 years. They get a work permit for 5 years, and then they got to go back to their home country unless they get a renewal on their work permit from immigration via sponsorship from the company that sponsored them. Okay, in my opinion, applying for a work permit and a green card is like throwing money down the toilet, because he's going to get his green card. You just got to wait for it to get here. Karina got here. She wanted to go to work. She was just biting on the Trump. Oh, I want to go to work. Well, I don't blame her. She doesn't want to be stuck in the house all day. And she got a work permit, right? She got a job the next day because she has a degree in tax accounting from Venezuela. It's equivalent degree in America. She got a job the very next day. And then 3 weeks later, she got her green card. And I'm saying to myself, man, I'm glad I didn't pay for that freaking work permit, because that would have been she only got 3 weeks worth of your time out of it. She didn't even get into the system yet where she works. I think she got her first paycheck. So it's ridiculous. Just go ahead and forget. Don't even waste your time with the work permit, because you could lose the money. Immigration is going to cash the check. Now remember, you don't pay for your green card application or your K-1 visa application with a credit card. You write a check. You don't use a credit card. If you use a credit card, your bank may not recognize the charge, and then your green card application or K-1 visa application is going to be blocked by the bank because immigration didn't get freaking paid. And then you're going to be stuck in a holding pattern for 2 or 3 months while you have to redo the payment to immigration and explain what happened. Francois, right, Diego, got his green card 2 months after filing. There you go. You put together a fantastic green card application. If you put together a fantastic green card application like Francois did, you get your green card a lot quicker than if you put together a pitiful, bare minimum application. The marriage certificate, a couple of pictures, the I-94, the biographic pages of the passports, no evidence of being on the joint bank account holders, no social security number, no evidence of being on the bills as co-responsibility for financial responsibility. Remember, when you apply for a 2-year green card, you have to prove cohabitation, that you're living together, that you're both responsible for the bills to the house or the apartment or the trailer or the RV. It doesn't matter where you live, as long as you are proving that you are jointly responsible for everything. Okay? All right, guys. I'll keep talking. I did a surprise live stream. Usually I don't do a live stream on a Monday morning, and I'll do another live stream tonight with Karina. No, Karina's going to be busy doing stuff. She's making some Venezuelan food or something. So she's not going to be with me tonight on the live stream. But this new camera, this new microphone seems to be doing pretty good. Some people were asking me what kind of camera was I using. It's a Facecam Pro 2. The microphone is a Yeti Blue. I got lights, all everything set up so you can get a pretty good live stream so you can get this information. Remember, I got all this knowledge up in my brain. I've got 12 years of experience doing this. I've helped so many people, I lost count, get their green cards and their K-1 visas. I've helped people overcome denials. I've helped people overcome big problems. But I don't give legal advice, and I'm not an immigration attorney, but I have the knowledge that they have. Even though I didn't, take the bar exam, I have the knowledge they have. So I share it with you for free, basically, so you don't have to be spending all that money. If you're a member of the channel, then you can. The only reason I ask you to pay for that isn't because I want your $9.99. It's because I need to keep track of who's got my phone number and email address. That's it. Otherwise, I'd do it for free also. But I can't. YouTube said, in order to protect, they said recommended, set up a membership to protect my information. And that protects the channel, and that protects you guys from getting this channel hacked, right? Okay, guys, I want to end it right now. It's 11:22 a.m. Central Time here in Florida. I'll be back tonight at 5 p.m. now. 5 p.m. Central Time. I'll see you guys this evening. And thanks for hanging out with me during the day. And Neha, go ahead and sign up as a member if you want my contact info. We'll see you later.